Good afternoon and welcome to Southside Ice Arena in Byron Center, Michigan. I'm Matt Gajtka. This is Cougar Puck Radio. Your Cougars take on the De La Salle Collegiate Pilots out of Warren, Michigan in Game 2 of our two-game home weekend, both against non-conference foes. Two teams, warming up as the Pilots make their second trip into Southside in as many years. They were here last January as well, and the Cougars collected a victory in that one. Rollicking affair, 7-4. Braylon Outwater had 4 points. Zach Westrick had 3, pacing the Cougars, who this year are coming off their first back-to-back losses of the season. Their first back-to-back losses, in fact, going back to last December, 2 Decembers ago of 2022. That was a span of 34 games between consecutive losses for Catholic Central. So redemption is the idea for them for sure today. Hello, good to see you again as we do see the De La Salle Pilots for the second time in 2 years, and the Pilots actually are playing here this weekend for the second time as they faced off against undefeated Byron Center last night on the rink behind us at Southside. And Byron Center remained undefeated with a 4-2 win after scoring 3 goals in the first period against De La Salle. So the Pilots ranked number 3 in Division II. This is a strong squad coming in with a record of 10-3-2. They're going to be seeking at least something positive out of this long trip across the state. I mentioned based out of Warren. They play their hockey right near the shores of Lake Huron. So, yes, it is a long trip across, and they make it a 2-game trip whenever they do come over here to West Michigan more often than not. And we are happy again to see a team that gave the Cougars quite the battle last year. For Catholic Central, they now stand at 11-4 after last night's 4-3 loss to Saginaw Heritage, a game that went back and forth. Catholic Central, if you watched it last night, trailed 2-0, 3-1, and 4-2, each time rallying back, but they could never get it even. They trailed 1-0 just a minute 30 seconds in and never found a way to get back on level terms. So for Catholic Central, which previous to last night's game took 13 days off due to a snow cancellation last weekend, well, it's about getting going faster than they did last night. Their goaltender, senior Trent Goheen, saw his save percentage and his goals against average take a bit of a hit last night, but not because of quality of play. Going back and watching some of the highlights from last night, I was reminded how many fantastic saves he made on grade A scoring chances for Saginaw Heritage. And that's a high-scoring Hawks squad that we saw come in here. The Cougars actually held them to 1 less than their season average, which is 5. But defensively, I think Catholic Central could certainly improve, and I think they and the coaching staff would agree with that and not try to lean on their goaltender too much. But as we saw last year, De La Salle can put the puck in the net too. They do return 11 players from last year's team that made the trip in and lost 7-4 to Catholic Central, as I mentioned. But one key note for De La Salle, they are missing their second leading scorer, Colton Fuqua, missing it due to an injury. So that'll be a big hit for head coach Chad LaRose's team. And if that name, Chad LaRose, sounds familiar, he did play in the NHL for the Carolina Hurricanes for several seasons. He's a Michigan boy, actually played for CompuWare growing up and the Plymouth Whalers in the Ontario Hockey League. And he leads this third-ranked De La Salle team into their second road game in as many nights, or in as many days in this case, as both teams, the Cougars and the Pilots, are coming back after it here less than 24 hours after losing in this very same facility on Friday. De La Salle plays in the 3-team MIHL Gold Division. They're in first place with that 10-3-2 record. Catholic Central, of course, in the OK Roo at 11-4. Pretty good mark, obviously, but Byron Center, like I mentioned, has yet to lose on the season. So BC remains in first place in the Roo division. Mike Slobodnik dropped, I put that in air quotes, to 99 games above 500 for his career with yesterday's defeat to Saginaw Heritage. But Slobodnik does not shy away from scheduling tough foes from outside the OK Conference, and this weekend is just a great example of that. You'll recall 2 years ago, the Cougars barely finished above 500 in the regular season, but they were one of the stronger teams in West Michigan. But just because they played such a difficult strength of schedule, their one-loss record didn't really line up with the quality of their ability as a team. And here we see again this year a team at 11-4, and I would argue every bit as good as their record does show. And like I said, the pollsters at Michigan High School Hockey Hub have them ranked 7th in D3 for a reason. So we'll take a short break here as we're set for our pregame prayer, and starting lineups coming up, national anthem. It's all on the way on Cougar Puck Radio as Catholic Central takes on De La Salle this afternoon from Southside Ice Arena. Stay with us.
Now let's meet the starters for both teams. First, our guest today, the Pregame South Pilots. Starting at a forward, number 22, Keegan James. A forward, number 24, Anthony Zakagny. A forward, number 88, Leighton Mayer. On defense, number 14, Julian Gajtka. On defense, number 55, Logan Robbins. In goal for the Pilots, number 30, Gavin Zalkowski.
There you just heard the starting 6 for De La Salle. Starting up front, Keegan James, 8 goals, 18 total points on the year. He'll be alongside A.J. Zakagny, 23 points to lead this team, including a team-best 14 assists. Also up front, number 88, Leighton Nayert, a couple of points in his junior year. On defense for the boys in purple, Logan Robbins, 13 points from the blue line. And also the junior Julian Gajtka, who has 5 points on the year on the defensive side of things. And Gavin Zalkowski will get the start for De La Salle in goal. Time for the national anthem, and I'll get you the Cougars starting lineup in just a moment on CPR. And the starting lineup for Catholic Central this afternoon as they take the ice again for the 16th time this season. Ryder Mulvey, 3 goals, 9 points on the year. He'll start alongside his senior classmate Alex Pollock with an assist on the season. To his credit, also the sophomore newcomer, the sharpshooter Isaac Kappinga, 6 goals and 8 total points in his first year out of the Grand Rapids Blades organization. On the blue line from Fox Motors and Little Caesars, it's number 18, sophomore Liam Ten Harmsel, 7 points on the season in his first year with the Cougars. And Braden Bates, who scored his first goal of the year, to go with 6 assists to lead the blue line core. He's starting on the back line as well. And in net, as expected, Trent Goheen for the second time this weekend. He's got a record of 8-4 and a 1.76 goals against average, a .936 save percentage that ranks in the top 5 across the entire state. 3 shutouts to Trent Goheen's credit. And the Cougars start the game with the puck. Skating from right to left across your device screen, Liam Ten Harmsel tries to shoot in. He was stick checked by Leighton Nayert, but it comes right back to Ten Harmsel. No, it's an offside play at the attacking blue line. Again, Gavin Zalkowski is the netminder who gets the start for De La Salle. No reliable stats for him. De La Salle doesn't appear to be the most diligent when it comes to plugging in the numbers on MI Hockey Hub. It happens, so we'll go with that. Go with what we have, which is that we expected to see Zalkowski. And there he does, handle the puck behind his net. Gives it off to Logan Robbins, who leads this blue line core in goals with 4 and points with 13. Gajtka fires across rink, and on the move comes Keegan James, number 22. A rising shot into the glove of Goheen, just 43 seconds into the game, and he holds on to the puck for the whistle. Again, it bears mentioning the Cougars have lost 2 in a row for the first time in 34 games. Quite the accomplishment to get that far along, combining 2 seasons together without losing consecutively. And you might want to put an asterisk by this 2-game slump, if you will, as we see an icing called here just barely, as Outwater nearly won the race to the puck against Joe Serra before it crossed the goal line. But yes, the Cougars have lost 2 in a row, but the 2 games were 13 days apart. We missed last weekend. We were supposed to play against Forest Hills Northern and Eastern, the co-op squad, the Bird Dogs, out at Patterson last Friday, but of course we had about a foot of snow last Friday into last Saturday. That shut down much of the Grand Rapids area. We'll play that game on Monday the 29th of this month. Thrown across and off the body of Bryson Rowe. Couldn't handle it, but Hunter Hoberg will for De La Salle, the Pilots. In white helmets, purple jerseys, gold trim. Snapshot by Rowe. Good save by Goheen. He appears to be in fine form again. That was a hot shot by Rowe, trying to go short side, top shelf. Nothing doing. The Pilots have 10 juniors on their roster, 7 seniors, so yes, very upperclassmen heavy. Traditional look. 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores on the active roster. Goheen, Luke Goheen that is, whips the pass up this near side, too far for Outwater to reach, and it's a halting start to this one. Plenty of whistles. We started nearly a half an hour after we were supposed to. You know how it goes Saturdays at the rink. A lot of games piling up in the morning and early afternoon. I almost feel like you should build in a 15 to 20 minute buffer zone when it comes to scheduled starts this time of day. Goheen will drive it away from behind his net. If this were the NHL, would have been inside the trapezoid. Goheen is unfettered, though. He loves to go far and wide to field the puck as Carlander knocks this down, and, well, he knocked it right to a teammate, Dozema, briefly before handing it back to Carlander. That's a no-no. It's a hand pass. So Goheen makes his 13th start in game number 16. Just 9 to go after this for Catholic Central in the regular season. Still a busy month of January, though, to take care of. 5 more games before we flip over the calendar page. 4 of them in West Michigan. If the one game at UD Jesuit next Friday, but coming up on Wednesday, we'll be out at Griff's West as the Cougars take on their divisional foe, West Ottawa, for the second and final time this year. That's a 7 o'clock start Wednesday. I'll have the call on Cougar Puck Radio. Ten Harmsel again lugging that biscuit. Tried to chip it deep, but Julian Gajtka intercepted. He guns it on ahead to Nayer, who chips it deep. Off the body of Bates, no icing here. Actually, it stopped short of the end line. Fed right back toward the slot, and Ryder Mulvey cleans it up for Catholic Central. Turned over far side. Kappinga read that cross-ice play, and oh my, the Pilots almost put it in their own net. Back-checking effort by Joe Serra nearly led to an own goal, but in the end, like I said, good hustle to get back. Just nearly a heavy touch that cost him. Here's a lead pass. Keegan James works his way in, and he's stopped by Goheen, and Goheen will field the rebound as well. Spun weakly back toward goal. James a couple of times has tried to get loose in the neutral zone. That time he did, with 13:55 to go in the first. Each team coming off a loss last night in which they surrendered 4 goals. But there were a couple of high-powered teams that these squads today lost to yesterday. Byron Center took down De La Salle 4-2, and Saginaw Heritage defeated the Cougars 4-3. And there's a penalty coming against Catholic Central in the neutral zone. High sticking the call as Berta touched just in front of the scorer's table. Oh no, pardon me, it's against De La Salle. I had the wrong team. They blew the whistle with the Cougars in possession. That's why I was confused by that. So, all right, Catholic Central gets an early power play. Colin Helgren, the junior, heads off with 13:36 to go in the first period. Power play number 1 for Catholic Central begins now. The Cougars yesterday were 2 for 4. It was a strong effort on the advantage. Ten Harmsel exchanges with Berta back in neutral ice. He blasts it off the corner boards. Goheen plucks it off the kick plate, hands off to Westrick, on back to the blue line for Ten Harmsel, shooting, and a good save by Zalkowski, hops up into the air, and Berta eventually flags it down. Backpedaling, passing, good feed, finding Westrick, shot! Zalkowski made the save, and it didn't squirt through, and he holds for the stoppage. Zach Westrick with a 6-game point streak. He's got 12 points over that span. Little back of the envelope math. Yes, 2 points per game during the streak. That's one I had no problem doing without dialing up the calculator app. Zakagny won the faceoff for De La Salle. It's rung around the boards, but that's where Henry Kwiatkowski is stationed. He keeps it alive in the attacking zone. Cougars on the power play. Mulvey exchanges with Kappinga. Back to the blue line. Kwiatkowski wrister save, and it kicked just away from Ryder Mulvey, who was hunting the rebound. Kappinga closes, feeds to Mulvey. They're in close proximity. Now the Cougars stretch it out, back out of the blue line. Kwiatkowski's shot blocked in the slot. Kappinga's backhand, and just off the toe of Zalkowski. I think he got a piece of it at least. Kwiatkowski's shot, wide of Zalkowski, fielded by Kappinga behind the goal. He's run into by James. Now Alex Pollock joins the party, but lost possession of the puck. Dragna tries to clear it around. Kwiatkowski holds. Mulvey trying to pass it across, but James got in the way of that. Keegan James backhand high in the air. Glove down by Kwiatkowski. No, it was touched by a high stick by Catholic Central. Deflected by a high stick, in fact. And that'll bring the faceoff out of the attacking zone. Back into Cougars real estate with 36 seconds remaining on the power play. 12-12 to go in the first. The Pilots still down a man, but they get an offensive zone draw. Blackwood just nudges it forward. Blackwood, who scored twice against Catholic Central in last year's 7-4 Cougars win. He has 11 goals this season to lead his team. Westrick turns his legs and finds a way into the offensive zone. Around the net he goes. 15 seconds left on the advantage. Berta, quick dish to the goal line, and Luke Goheen, who scored last night. Now Berta, shooting, score! There was a screen in front. I don't think Zalkowski ever saw it. Catholic Central gets a power play goal, and it's Preston Berta notching it and getting the Cougars on top, 1-0. Salute your solution. Preston Berta's got his 3rd of the year. I noted last night he has been prolific at getting pucks to the net, and he does it again. And you'll notice before that goal went in, he backpedaled along the blue line, creating an angle, getting away from the pending shot block. And there were at least a couple of Cougars in the field of vision of Zalkowski, and maybe a Pilot or two as well. There was plenty of congestion. Kind of amazing that shot got through, but it did for a power play goal. That was scored with 11:45 to go in the first period. Luke Goheen gets an assist on the play, icing against De La Salle. Zach Westrick picks up an assist, so his point streak is now 7 games. Berta's 3rd. That's of this season. He had 2 last year, so yes, already a career high for goals in a season for Preston Berta, still with, well, almost 10 full games to go. Wrister by Sager. Mulvey took the shot. On the follow-up, he was right there. He inadvertently blocked it, but then he picked it up and actually created for himself a pretty good scoring chance. Tried to glove it down, did Mulvey. Kappinga keeps it in at the point. Took the shot. He was hit hard by Stempen after he released it, and the wrister never got all the way through. Bolton clears it into the Cougars bench. And De La Salle having a little bit of trouble getting it going here early on. Funny what power plays can do. Not just generate goals, but also tilt the ice. Sometimes as a team who just went short, you got to dig your way out and reestablish whatever territorial edge you had. As for right now, the Cougars are in control. What a shot by Kwiatkowski, and it rang the crossbar. Great look there with 10:39 left in the first, nearly 2-0. Just overpowered Zalkowski did Kwiatkowski. Westrick turned it over. A wrister off the outside of the goal by De La Salle. Beals in front looking for Pertot, and it just missed his stick. That was Joe Emmons who had that initial chance. Now Goheen with a pull-up shot. That was blocked down by James. Pertot clears it around to the far side. There's Beals, and Lucas Beals hands it right back to Liam Ten Harmsel. Diagonal pass to Bates, who shoots in. Off the end wall, the Cougars try to get the forecheck going. It's Westrick forcing the play to the far side. Karsten Carlander distributes back to Ten Harmsel. His wrist shot blocked at the point of attack by Pertot, who jams it down the rink. Another icing against De La Salle. So the Pilots, again, can't connect on the lead feed. One thing that Heritage was really good at last night was headmanning the puck and always having someone there to at least get a touch on it. I was really impressed by that Hawks team yesterday. I think we're going to see them make some noise down the stretch. They've now won 5 in a row to nudge their noses, or their beaks, I should say, above 500. De La Salle well above 500, but they're looking for something here as Catholic Central has jumped on them early. Bates did a curly cue behind the net, hammered it away beyond the reach of Dozema at center ice. Josh Lawrence on the D-to-D pass to Sarah. He nubbed it wide of the goal. That was deflected. That's why no icing here. And Goheen, well, feels like once a game he whips it off the ice and over the glass. He did it there with 9:10 remaining in the period. So that's a relief for Catholic Central. Step 1 to get an early lead. They've achieved that. They can move on to step 2 and more. What those steps are, it's hard to say. All I know is first goal is nice to get, especially coming off of consecutive defeats. Berta scans his options. Missed Moss with that pass, and this is going to be icing back the other way. Last year in this matchup, the Cougars got goals from 7 different players. I mentioned Braylon Outwater had a goal and 3 assists. Zach Westrick had a goal and 2. De La Salle actually scored first in that game. And then Catholic Central just buried the Pilots under an avalanche of goals. Moss was looking in front for Kappinga. Kind of a makeshift line out there right now as Moss gets a shift with Kappinga and Mulvey. It was Pollock who started the game with those two, Kappinga and Mulvey. Now Kappinga heads off. Blackwood couldn't take the pass. It was in his skates. Cooper Moss trying to flip it and go chase, but he couldn't get there in time. This is bouncing around. Blackwood pulls it free for a moment, but then Berta ripped it right back, and Catholic Central clears. Robbins plays to the near corner. 8 minutes to go in the period. Kwiatkowski just gets rid of it, and a great play on to Goheen, who was open at the red line. Luke on the chip and chase play. Look at him get after it, bumping Anthony Winkler hard to the end boards. Trouble near the De La Salle net, but Colin Helgren eventually finds the handle. Rose pass is an area feed to the far corner. 10 Harmsel the first on it for Catholic Central. Braden Bates with his head up. His dish hit Finn Stempen's skate. Outwater fires in. Helgren wiped out by Outwater in behind the play, but here come the Pilots now. The pass goes behind Blackwood, but it's on to Stempen. Took the shot, and Goheen strong to push out, cut down the angle, and absorb that drive with 7:18 left in the first, and we might have a penalty coming up after the puck was frozen. Luke Goheen's going to the box. It's at least one, maybe two. It is just Goheen. So after the whistle, I believe. Don't like to see that. That's a high sticking minor to Goheen with 7:18 remaining in the first period. Blackwood to take the face-off. Hoberg and James are out there up front. Zakagny's playing a point as a forward, and Logan Robbins rounds out the power play fivesome. But it's capping a shorthanded, bumped hard off the puck by Robbins. Robbins looks particularly strong on his skates. Little deke move to get around Mulvey, and he pulls up just at the top of the circle. Mulvey pins him to the wall. Blackwood swoops in. Couldn't get the puck, and the Cougars clear. It's Berta sending Kapinga away. Isaac Kapinga pulls the trigger, and that's off the pad of Zalkowski. Kapinga gets his own rebound, and again, he's smashed by Robbins. 2-for-1 deal on that shift. But Kapinga did well to kill some time. James feeds it far side. Wrist shot off the stick of Goheen, off the chance from A.J. Zakagny, far side. And that's deflected out of play. 6:37 remaining in the period. 1:19 to go on the power play. My name is Matt Gajtka. Thank you for joining me on Cougar Puck Radio, if you are friend or foe. Off the scramble. Here's Bates. Dispossessed from behind by Zakagny. He's having some trouble. The ice getting a little bit choppy here. We had the warm-up, of course, and now playing the entire first period before we get a ice resurfacing. It's a lot of snow in front of the benches at the moment. Robbins lugging the puck again. Makes a good tape-to-tape pass on to Keegan James, who stops up. Trying to find some time and space. Distributes to the corner. Hoberg. Now James to Robbins. His pass was deflected by Westrick, and Braden Bates gets the clear. Catholic Central completing the line change, getting 4 fresh skaters out on the ice surface. 25 seconds to go on this power play. Robbins back there with Leighton Nair to try to get the breakout going. Adragna goes cross-ring to Nayert. Given away again, and 10 Harmsel takes care of it this time with a 200-foot dump in. Final 5 seconds of the advantage. Looks like the Cougars are going to go 1-for-1 on the PK. Kapinga almost ensures that is going to happen with the pass break up at center, but it's Nayert carrying in nonetheless. We're back to 5-on-5. Pull-up move, and Bolton's wrister weakened on the way, never got to the net. Berta, hard off the wall, deflects right toward goal, and just wide of it. So that does trigger the icing whistle with Alex Pollock in hot pursuit. 5:01 left in the first. I'm happy to report the heat is actually on today. Last night, the staff got it going in the third period. I'm not complaining too much, but it was extremely cold in here yesterday. I can actually feel all my extremities this time around. Probably helps we've had a lot of folks in and out of the building. It's been a busy weekend at Southside, as you might imagine, in the middle of January at a hockey facility. That snow-covered parking lot, there hasn't been very many available places to park. I've had to go hunting a little bit here. Westrick, speaking of hunting, he pokes that puck loose. Fed it on far side. Goheen, save made by Zalkowski. Nearly left the rebound there for Westrick, but just about a foot away from his reach. Probably Zalkowski's best save of the period with 4:45 to go in it. What a hit by Outwater. He absolutely smoked Sarah. Here comes Outwater. Couldn't get the shot off. Thought he got tripped there at the end by Lawrence, but play allowed to continue on, and a 1-0 Cougars lead. Final 4.5 minutes. Berta up the middle. He's got Goheen with that breakout pass. Goheen pulls up, and he is tripped that time. That is definitely going to be a penalty against Josh Lawrence, who gives Goheen a tap on the backside as to say, fair play, good move. And Lawrence now shakes his head at the fact that he had to commit that penalty. Just left too much of a gap there for Luke Goheen to take that feed from Berta. And with 4:12 left, the Cougars go back on the power play. Mulvey against Zaccagni, and Zaccagni wins it cleanly back. Hammered around by Sarah and tapped through to center just barely. No, it wasn't. It was kept in. Kept in by Bates. How about that job? So the Cougars can go to work on the advantage. Kwiatkowski walks the line. Henry Kwiatkowski thought about pulling the trigger. Now he will, but that's blocked by Zaccagni, who flips it high into the air, too high. Into the penalty box it goes. And these are open-air penalty boxes, if you will, at Southside. So you've got to keep watch if you're in the box. And Josh Lawrence did there. He actually retrieved the puck for the linesperson. 1:39 remaining on his penalty. 3:50 to go before the intermission. And the battle is on for the puck. 3-on-2. The Cougars had the advantage, but it squirts loose in the middle for the 200-foot clear by Logan Robbins. So Braden Bates settles it down. The arena just got deathly quiet for a second there. Mulvey going to try his luck down the left wing. He's stripped, though, by Zaccagni, and the Pilots, again, dispatch it. And they get a line change. Cougars swapping out bodies, too, at the moment. Bates assessing his options. Good pass, finding Luke Goheen, who's been at the receiving end of a couple of these in this period. He'll slam on the brakes, will Luke Goheen. Kwiatkowski, the late man, he shoots off the pad of Zaukowski. Kwiatkowski over to the corner. Cycling with it is Westrick. High slot, now left circle, Westrick. Taking a look, wrap around. No, he won't be able to get it there as the net was knocked off its moorings. With 33 seconds remaining on the power play. Westrick has picked up assist number 15, point number 22 on the season. He leads this team in both categories, and it's not particularly close. No one else in double digits in assists. There's Westrick trying to set up another one maybe. He found Berta, shot it. Did Berta still free? And no, shot off the outside of the post by Luke Goheen. Looked like Goheen was going to be able to stuff it in for a second. And play has been halted with Outwater colliding with one of the Pilots in front. And I thought the referee said both of you go. Outwater gets a roughing penalty. And Adragna has picked up one on the De La Salle side as well. I don't think this is going to affect the play on the ice, but I could be mistaken. Outwater off, Adragna off. It remains a 5-on-4 for the Cougars for at least another 13 seconds. Chip down and out. Here comes Zaccagni on the rush. A.J. Zaccagni right to the goal. Chipped it on frame and a save by Goheen. And he holds on to the loose puck in front. Zaccagni just had that look in his eye like he wanted to get to the net. Sounds like both Adragna and Outwater got 2 for roughing. 4 seconds left on the Catholic Central power play. Looks like they're going to go scoreless on this one and be 1 for 2 on the day. Zaccagni versus Mulvey at the dot, and Zaccagni just mucks it up for long enough to extinguish the rest of the penalty. 2 minutes to go before the break. Kapinga off the wall, nearly picked off one of his teammates there on the bench with that backhand. Back in the possession of the Pilots, Winkler with his eyes down ice. Fed it into the near corner, James. Bolton now joins the fray for De La Salle. Keegan James out of the pack with the puck. Aerial pass looking for Robbins, and he gunned it right through the top of the crease. Nobody home for the guys in purple. Henry Kwiatkowski again settles the puck. Hard play to this near side. It will go right on net on the deflection off the near side boards. And so Załkowski melts it down. 1:22 remaining. Westrick, Goheen, and Potter is the line right now for Catholic Central. Westrick a clean backhand win. Bates to Westrick, redirection across his body and nearly put it on target just off the outside of the net. Westrick once more. He appears to be energized again. What else is new? Ten Harmsel down the wall. Burrows in behind. Liam Ten Harmsel taking a look. Wanted to set something up. He's going one-on-one now against Sarah, his fellow defenseman. Hooked it back in front, did Ten Harmsel when he was falling down, but he ended up turning it over to Nayert. Cross-ring pass, too hard for Bryson Rowe to handle. We're into the final minute of the first, and another penalty. Unsportsmanlike conduct called. Back behind the play, and it's going against Shane Bolton of De La Salle. He jumps right into the penalty box. Another power play for Catholic Central, this time with 49 seconds left to go in the period, as the Pilots losing their discipline here. Westrick, Mulvey, Kapinga the forwards, Kwiatkowski and Bates the defensemen. A potential early pivot point in this one. Not a good penalty to take for Bolton, and the Pilots have to play short. Mulvey took the wrist shot after the face-off control, but he bounced it wide into the corner. Gets his own rebound with the help of Kapinga. And forced it over to Westrick, to the point in Bates. 38 seconds to go in the period. We'll go by that clock. Bates' deflected shot, loose in the slot. Bates holds it in on the intended clear by Zaccagni, who's playing a ton shorthanded lately. Coach LaRose of De La Salle leaning hard on him and the rest of the PK unit, because they have to. James is out there as well. So is Anthony Winkler and Logan Robbins on the visitors' side. But Mulvey and Westrick team up to win that face-off for Catholic Central. And it often is a team effort at the circle. Wrister by Mulvey, bounces around and chipped in for a score. Henry Kwiatkowski right there to chip it in to the yawning cage. 2-0 Cougars on a pair of first period power play goals. 18 seconds to go before the break. Kwiatkowski cashes in, and the Cougars are 2 for 3 on the advantage. Trying to grab something out of this weekend, and they're in good shape to do so. Kwiatkowski's second goal of the year, his first on the power play. Good instinct for him to not just pinch in, but go right to the front of the net. That puck was just laying there for a second. So Kwiatkowski gets it going offensively. Blackwood back to the far side, over to Hoberg. Time runs out in the period, and Outwater collides with one of the Pilots, that's Blackwood, just after that buzzer sounds behind the Cougars' goal line. Catholic Central with a 2-0 lead this afternoon at home, as they look to dispatch De La Salle. They're off to a fantastic start. Keep it here on Cougar Puck Radio for the second period in about 10 minutes' time. Talk to you then. Go ahead.
Somebody drops the F-bomb. Is it a 10-minute and a 2 unsportsmanlike? Because he said it right, whatever happened, it was right in front of the referee. Sportsmanlike.
The guy that got called for it?
Yeah. Because he gave him a 10.
I don't, like, there's in the rule book, there's nothing about a specific word or whatever. It's just like, it's up to the referee's discretion.
Yeah. Because he went like that and like that.
Yeah, I think
That's 10.
he was just giving him 2. But because I think he might have just
Well, he
got
was still
confused
sitting
there a
there in
little
the
bit.
penalty box after the goal.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that. Okay.
Because this is, that's 10.
Yeah, right, and that's the 2. I actually didn't know if.
2.
Yeah. All right.
Whatever it is, he made the referee mad.
Yeah, right. I didn't see it, but
Good eye.
yeah. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, if that was 12 minutes, then he'll be gone for half the next period. Yeah.
It'll be interesting if he goes back into the box. I think he did.
Yeah.
So we got 2 goals in the first period.
2 power play goals too. Yeah. That's awesome. The second period set to begin from Southside. I'm Matt Gajtka. This is Cougar Puck Radio. The Cougars with a 2-0 lead on 2 power play goals in the first period by defensemen Preston Berta and Henry Kwiatkowski each scoring. Trent Goheen gets the whistle just a few seconds into the frame. Just looking back at the Kwiatkowski goal, I would have Mulvey and Westrick with assists, so that's 2 assists in the period for Zach Westrick to give him 16 for the year. 23 total points. Continues to pace the pack of Cougars in both of those categories. And on the fresh sheet, this zips down the rink for an icing the other way. Faceoff stays in the zone. De La Salle came in with a 10-3-2 record. Of those 5 non-wins, if you will, all of them were against teams ranked in the top 10 in their respective divisions. They, of course, lost to Byron Center, which is number 1 in Division 2. There's a shot that deflects in. Logan Robbins took it from the point, and the Pilots have some life early in the second, just 18 seconds into the period. And I think Robbins is going to get credit for this one. I believe that bounced in off a Cougar and hopped high into the twine over the shoulder of Goheen, who couldn't do much about it. The redirect was that drastic. For Robbins, his 5th goal of the year. And De La Salle, which trailed by 2 yesterday to Byron Center, number 1 in Division 2, I was just saying before that goal. Oh, here's a shot off the post, a rebound. And Zakagny couldn't gather it in time as Goheen was trying to figure out where it ended up. Now Zakagny rounding it high in the zone. Shooting and deflected just wide by James. Robbins gets involved below the goal line. Fed it out in front. And stepping up was a Dragna to keep it alive, but that's short-lived as the whistle sounds. The net has been knocked off its pegs. So Robbins is 5th. Has cut the lead in half. You can just tell goals change games, don't they? And not just in the obvious ways, but they have after effects too. You see the surge of energy and adrenaline for the Pilots now, and the Cougars have to match that. Kwiatkowski drove it around, not out, as it was tipped out high. Bryson Rowe kept it in. Here comes Rowe down the wall. His backhand, a little bit off target, but Goheen stops it and holds it anyway. Anyway, as I was saying, De La Salle ranked 3rd in Division 2 themselves. They also lost earlier this year. If I can pull it up. Lost to Orchard Lake, which is ranked in the top 5 in Division 3. And here comes a penalty against the Catholic Central Cougars. Right off the face-off. The Pilots couldn't get goaltender Zalkowski to the bench quite in time to get the extra attacker on, but now the visitors have a power play early in the second, just after scoring to make it 2-1. 15:49 left. Second power play for De La Salle. And Brody Potter is the guilty party. Puck is flipped out of play by Ten Harmsel. We'll do it again from that same circle. De La Salle also lost to Clarkston. They have had ties against Sault Ste. Marie, which is ranked 9th in Division 3, and Trenton, also a top 10 squad. So you can see why the Pilots are so well regarded. They had kind of a dud of a first period here, but now they've come alive. Zakagny with a shot off target, but the Pilots retrieve it. Robbins, far side, Zakagny assessing, trying to feed over to Keegan James. Deflected away from him by Kappinga. Ten Harmsel has the puck on his stick. He's going to try to get that clear, but he could not as Blackwood confronted him there. Off to Bates, though, and he drives it all the way down the distance. So again, here are the Pilots revving it up. No stats available on their power play efficacy, but here's James cruising in, sets his edges, takes a look and makes the pass over to Robbins, shooting toward goal, and very similar spot to where he just scored from, but this is deflected off the rink. And a fan has thrown a puck back onto the ice. That's good because they don't have an unlimited number of them. Leighton Nayer to take the draw against Zach Westrick of Catholic Central. 57 seconds to go on Brody Potter's minor penalty. Rowe rips it across on the feed, tape to tape to Winkler. Sharp angle, and Ten Harmsel, pardon me, that's Kwiatkowski actually, ran him off to the side wall, and now Kwiatkowski gets to that puck, and can he clear it? Yes, he can, just barely. Watch out, Outwater just smoked a Dragna, who drags himself up as Catholic Central goes to the attack on the penalty kill. Outwater got clipped behind the net. Then he sends Winkler flying with a stiff check to the arm. 24 seconds left on this advantage. Second of the afternoon. For De La Salle, some trouble there as Winkler trying to get away from Zach Westrick. Westrick killing time effectively with supreme effort on the PK. 5 seconds remaining before we get back to 5-on-5. Westrick couldn't handle it. Big blast by Lawrence. That was headed into the corner, it looked like, but Goheen still punched it out with a blocker hand just to be safe. And it deflects over the high glass. Another fun, competitive weekend against teams from outside the region. It's one of the cool parts about this Cougars program. They take on all comers. They schedule tough. You love to have some of those games at home, and they do here against Saginaw Heritage and today against De La Salle over the course of this weekend. The power play is over. The Pilots are 0 for 2 on the afternoon. Lucas Beals from behind the net wanted to try to scoop it in front of the goal, it looked like, but he was stymied there. Pertot coughed it up. Carlander deflects it out to center for the Cougars. 4 minutes into the second period. De La Salle's gotten back into it here. Lawrence lost control, and the Cougars have a punch back. It's Dozema. Fanned on the shoot-in, though. Again, Lawrence, but he's run off. And it does look like that Shane Bolton is still in the penalty box for De La Salle, so he got 2 and a 10 for unsportsmanlike at the end of that first period. Icing against Catholic Central. Stops play. So not only did the Cougars score on that 2-minute portion of the penalty assortment handed off to Shane Bolton of De La Salle, he also has to sit out essentially the first 10 minutes of this period. That's 12 minutes out of a total of 51. That's a pretty big chunk to have a seat for. Well, 51 if we play regulation. The Cougars have not played an overtime game this year. Zaccagni finds himself open, and he tried to slip a pass in front, but it was deflected over the net. Nayert was the intended receiver. Goheen way out of his goal to jam it away. He realized his D didn't know where the puck was. James rounding the net. Gets the shot, missed the goal. Zaccagni trying to flag it down and will. Mulvey going one-on-one against him. Zaccagni wanted to drag it in front, but it was poked off his stick. Good team defending by Catholic Central, but a penalty. Interference is the call, and I think it's against De La Salle because A.J. Zaccagni is complaining to the referee. I think he's going to be the one going to the box. How about a fourth power play for Catholic Central? 12:14 left in the second period. CC scored twice in the first. De La Salle has gotten one back early in the second. Now just about 5 minutes into the middle frame. Berta parades down the wall. Bumped it behind the net. Westrick handling, jamming. It's still loose in the slot, in the crease rather, and they hack away. Oh my goodness, they let a lot go there for a minute as the whistle finally sounds. The puck did not go in apparently. The net was knocked off. Quite the battle. Zalkowski held his ground in the goal. And players are separated without, it appears, any further confrontation. But somebody's going to the box. Might be more than one. Somebody. Westrick headed off for Catholic Central. And Julian Adragna for De La Salle. That should keep things at 5-on-4 in favor of the Cougars, you would think. But maybe not. It's a long discussion. Well, there's still 5 skaters out there for Catholic Central, 4 for De La Salle, I think. No, actually, Pollock's going to the box. That might have been an extra penalty on the board. There are 2 Cougars in the box now. It's Westrick, and I can't tell the other number. Is that Sager? Berta is in the box. So it is 4-on-4. Preston Berta has a seat. We await the announcement. Mulvey pulling up and shooting, blocked to the corner. So Berta and Westrick got penalties, so did Adragna. And so De La Salle is going to end up with a power play at the back end of all this. Bates fields the puck in front of the icing line. Had to, or else it would have been waved off anyway. His lead delivery deflected into the attacking zone by Isaac Kappinga. Logan Robbins set sail, not for long. Lost it to Outwater. On the relay to Luke Goheen. Distance shot, and that's patted out by Zalkowski. Goheen behind the back pass, slap shot on the way from Kwiatkowski. That goes wide of the net. Outwater chipped it in front, and it's in the skates of Hoberg of De La Salle, but dragged out of danger by Dylan Blackwood. We haven't heard much of Blackwood, who has 11 goals on the season. Has not been a very active game for him so far, not to jinx it. 19 seconds to go on the 4-on-4 situation. Then after that, a very brief De La Salle power play. It'll last 16 seconds. Hack through to center ice. 10 Harmsel retrieves. Taking down to 10 1/4 minutes to go in the second period. Kappinga up ahead with that pass. Mulvey deflects it into the corner. He's after it here. Mulvey looking back to Kappinga. Swooping by the front of the net, but it's deflected away from him. Zaccagni chops it up into the air. He's out of the box. Brief power play for De La Salle, and it runs out. We're back to 5-on-5. Just like that. Rowe off the stick of Goheen and off the near side window. Jammed off the wood by Kappinga. Too far for Pollock to find. Icing against Catholic Central. 9:39 left in the second period. So, yeah, all the penalties are over outside of the 10-minute misconduct to Shane Bolton of De La Salle. The Pilots are officially 0 for 3 on the power play. The Cougars are 2 for 4. And Westrick is booted from the faceoff circle here. Goheen digs in against Pertot. Harrison Pertot wanted to lug it toward the front, but instead it's in the clutches of Luke Goheen. And he skips it right through the pinching Helgren at the point. Goheen finishes the job, got the puck all the way in deep. Helgren flipped it near side. Beals couldn't clear. Outwater, one-touch pass, a nifty one looking for Westrick following on, but just deflected away from him. Beals on the flip play. Lucas Beals handed it over, but got it right back on the near side. Beals toward the front. Berta does a pirouette, looking for some space, and what an angle pass that was to Outwater. He sends it in the path of Goheen into the near corner. The youth in the Cougars cheering section are jumping up and down on the bleachers, making some noise for their squad. But now it's Helgren wristing. Awkward save by Goheen. The rebound cleared away. Helgren, end of his shift, nearly made something happen. Now Westrick trying something similar. Pulling up, passing back door, and swatted away. Kwiatkowski now to the far corner. That was Carlander, who was the man open that Westrick was trying to connect with there. 10 Harmsel blasts into the near side corner. Westrick pinned by Logan Robbins with 8:10 to go in the second period. Cooper Moss has it out of the corner, pass toward the front. Carlander couldn't get the shot off. Now a blast from the far side by Bates. Westrick shoots, and that's blocked on the near wing. We go end to end now. Stempen handed it off. Right to the goal is Blackwood, and he couldn't get the shot away. Good back pressure from Catholic Central in desperation to defend there. Dylan Blackwood to the slot, shooting off a body. That might have been off his own man, Nayert, who was doing a drive-by through the slot. And I believe a hand pass called there. Halts play in the Cougars' end. 7:35 remaining in the second. That'll drag the draw back down to our right. Our next broadcast, 7 o'clock Wednesday from Griffs West. Catholic Central against West Ottawa. Mulvey versus Zaccagni at the face-off circle. Zaccagni wins it. Back to Robbins. Right in front of the net for a shot by Pollock, and he's stopped by Zalkowski. No further play. Pollock, he has his first assist now as a varsity Cougar. He's still in search of that first goal. And he's on the puck here in the corner. Pinned by Adragna. Adragna and Pollock both go down. Now they're back up, still fighting for it. And it's onto the tape of Hoberg. One touch to Keegan James. Whips a shot on net save, made, rebound in the low slot. And Mulvey cruises in to take it away. Pollock on the pass reception. Fires across the rink. Here's Bates trying to go top corner, and he just missed it high. Pollock dishes to 10 Harmsel. Into traffic. Pollock has it, and he couldn't turn it over on his forehand. Just one touch away from tucking it home. Adragna up the far boards. James with some space. The high flip, gloved by Goheen. He puts it down to his stick and clears it off the near side glass, not out. Tap to James, working against 10 Harmsel. 10 Harmsel and Mulvey team up to strip him of the puck. Robbins hammers it in. Full five-man change for De La Salle ahead of the play. Pollock couldn't take that lead pass, though, and it's an icing against the Cougars with 6:13 remaining in the period. De La Salle's Robbins scored 18 seconds into this period, and then that's been it. Both teams playing on short rest, if you will. Anything less than 24 hours I call a short rest. And we're well short of that. Rowe shooting, another deflected shot. Settles in behind the net. Beals turning this way and that. Gave it to Rowe. Bryson Rowe. Looking to go back to the point with that pass. It's picked off by Berta and shunted off the glass and out. Serra firing forward and untouched, icing against the Pilots. Well, Catholic Central has dropped 2 in a row. They haven't lost 3 in a row since 2 seasons ago. Like I mentioned in the pregame, it's a span of 34 games, or it was a span of 34 games between 2-game losing streaks. I'm not even sure if you can call 2 losses in a row a streak, but for our purposes, we'll say that's the case. It's been a remarkably consistent program the last 2 years when it comes to getting results. Sarah to the far wing, now clicked over to the stick of Lawrence. On the deflected shoot in, Goheen going to try to make a play. It's off the glove of Lawrence and out to center. Westrick in the neutral zone. Lawrence run into by Kwiatkowski. Not really known for his physicality, but he got a great hit off there to separate man from puck. Just how you draw it up. Blackwood, though, taken down in the neutral zone. Penalty called against the Cougars. And Luke Goheen trudges to the box with 5:07 remaining in the frame. His second penalty of the afternoon. And that's one you can call from up here. It is tripping. 4th power play for De La Salle. The Pilots are missing one of their top scorers, Colton Fuqua, but so are the Cougars. Nate Sova remains out due to a wrist injury sustained a couple of weeks ago. Catholic Central is hopeful of having him back. Well, speaking of Sova, he's got 3 shorthanded goals on the year among his 7 total. 3 shorthanded, 3 on the power play for Sova this year, but he's behind the bench today, again wearing a helmet to go with the suit. James trying to swing a pass toward the front of the net. That's deflected and picked off by Kappinga of the Cougars. Isaac Kappinga trying to get around the edge. The puck drifted off his stick. 40 seconds gone on this power play. The 4th of the afternoon for De La Salle. Zakagny tapped it away from Ten Harmsel. Dropped it back. Blackwood to the point and flushed out by Kappinga. He's doing awesome work on the penalty kill here. A couple of clears. And now just a minute to go on this advantage. Zakagny ran into trouble in the form of Zach Westrick. Blackwood retreats to pick it up. Dylan Blackwood dished it against the grain to Zakagny. Feels like he's been out there for half the game. Blackwood toward the middle, turned over to Braden Bates. A lot of time here. And he lobs a grenade just wide of the goal. Zalkowski stops it there for his defenseman Robbins, who lost his edge, confronted by Braylon Outwater. Ten Harmsel steps up. Slides it into the far corner. The Pilots can't even get set up on this power play. Great work from Catholic Central. But here's James shooting, and that ramped off the stick of Kwiatkowski and over the high glass into the screen. 17 seconds left on the advantage. 3:24 to go in the second period. Each team has had 4 power plays now. It hasn't been a terribly offensive game in terms of great chances left and right. That was more last night, if you're into that sort of thing. Heads up, the puck is flipped into the bleachers. Fortunately, not in the direction of anybody seated. And now a couple of kids sprint over to try to grab the souvenir. I think the Cougars are still using those 50th season commemorative pucks. This is the 50th season in the history of this varsity program. And the puck got thrown back over the glass. That's twice now that spectators have lobbed the pucks that went off the rink back onto the rink while play is going on. We don't suggest that, folks. Just hang on to it until a stoppage, please. One more clear for the Cougars and Cooper Moss. And that power play is over rather uneventfully for De La Salle. Just the way Catholic Central wants it. They maintain a 2-1 lead with 3 to go in the second period. Moss looking to wedge that puck ahead. It was in his skates for a bit. Now it's tossed over the head of Kwiatkowski, who has a goal today. Up in the direction of Moss, who redirects it up toward the blue line, and helping out, following on, Jackson Dozema. He charges forward, coughed it up on the hit to Leighton Nadert, who slows down the pace. Flipping it, trying to get it through Dozema. Dozema says no way. He whips it across, looking for Moss. It's in his skates. He's pushed down to the ice, and Rowe headmans it to Nadert, but he turns it over to Kwiatkowski in Cougars territory. Here they come back again on the counterattack. Carlander wristing it wide. Over to Kapinga with a shot as he comes off the bench. Stick save by Zalkowski. 2 to go in the period. Berta opens up, makes the pass up the middle. Kapinga colliding there in the corner with Winkler, who appears to be hurt, as Kapinga took the shot that was blocked to the end wall. Forced out to the point. Berta drags and wrists one. That's off a body to Kapinga. In the corner, shoots one. Stretched out and couldn't get a lot on it. Not a lot of leverage, but he still put it on goal. A pad save by Zalkowski. Kwiatkowski on net. Zalkowski controls that rebound, pushed it over to the far side wall. 90 seconds left in the second period. Pollock overrun behind the play, or behind the net, I should say. Zaccagni finds James. Drops it back. Zaccagni over to James. He's open, couldn't get the shot away. Now he pulls the trigger, and it bounces around and all the way back out to center. Good bounce there for the Cougars as Stempen was lurking, looking for the redirect or the slam dunk he was hoping for, but it never came to him. James and Zaccagni looking dangerous in transition on that move for De La Salle, but now the Cougars have it back with under a minute to go in the second. Pumped on frame from center ice by Ryder Mulvey. Zalkowski hands it off. Cleared down and out by Joe Serra. Hoberg follows on. Wanted a toe drag. Didn't work against Ten Harmsel, who stayed between him and the puck. Outwater with possession. He gets run into, but he makes a great pass up the far wing to Luke Goheen, who rips the shot along the ice and wide. Back over to Braden Bates, put it on goal, and Zalkowski made the save. Here comes Outwater, getting his hands up against Serra with 26 seconds left in the period. You just want to make sure you don't go over the edge here. Don't give another power play before you go to the locker room. You're holding on to a 2-1 lead. Bryson Rowe is shaking his head as he goes back to the bench for De La Salle. I think Outwater said something to him. Outwater's coming off as Westrick, Goheen, and Mulvey are deployed here by Mike Slobodnik. Final shift of the period. Ten Harmsel on net with that shot, and Zalkowski saw it the whole way that time. Traffic got the better of him in the first period when Preston Berta beat him from out high. Westrick circling, making a pass across. It's off the stick of the anticipating Leighton Nadert. 6 seconds to go in the period. One last chance here for De La Salle. Here comes James, deflecting it down the wing. Takes the shot from 10 feet out, and Goheen knew there was no time left, so he came way out atop his crease to make the save as time expires in the second period. Just one goal in the frame. That went to De La Salle. A strange deflection. Logan Robbins got credit for it as he shot it toward the goal. It went off of a Cougar and in. That was just 18 seconds into the period. Outside of that, a couple of power plays either way. Actually, 4 total in that period. 3 of them for Catholic Central. But they were unable to convert another. So we'll go to the third period from Southside. It's a tight one. It's a good one. The number 7 ranked Catholic Central Cougars in Division 3 lead the number 3 ranked De La Salle Pilots out of Division 2, 2-1, with 17 minutes to go in regulation. And who knows, maybe a little bit more. Stay with us from Byron Center. Ready for the 6th and final period of the weekend at Southside. Catholic Central holding on to a 2-1 lead against De La Salle out of Warren, Michigan. I'm Matt Gajtka. This is Cougar Puck Radio. Thank you for joining us as we're in for what should be a dramatic conclusion. The final 17 minutes of regulation time. Like I said, Catholic Central has not played an overtime yet this year. Delayed offside against them. The Pilots clear. 10 Harmsel shoots right back in. Look out, the redirect off of Robbins' stick. He was the beneficiary of a redirect in the second period, scoring the goal for De La Salle. The only one so far for the Pilots. He nearly tipped that one in his own net, though, to start this third. Half minute in, Bates inadvertently swung it on his own goal, and Goheen gives him a look over his shoulder after that. Maybe having a little laugh or at least a smile about it. Just looking at the De La Salle roster sheet produced here at the rink today, I mentioned that former NHL forward Chad LaRose is their head coach. I also see Dan DeKaiser is listed as an assistant coach. That's a name familiar to hockey fans around here, of course, the former Red Wing defenseman. Deflected out through to center. Here comes Luke Goheen. Stops there, falls down on the fresh ice as he tried to crank a pass into the slot for the late charging Braylon Outwater. Didn't work. So Berta rims it in. Outwater ran into his counterpart, number 13, Dylan Blackwood. Both appear to be limping after that collision, which was accidental. It appeared, at least. Berta, D-to-D over to Kwiatkowski. Those two have scored the only 2 Catholic Central goals of the day. We'll have another Saturday afternoon game next week. Get to that in a minute as Goheen passes it back door. Wrist shot. Save made on Moss's chance. What a look that was for Cooper Moss, who already has a goal this year in his first varsity season. Berta toward goal, kicked out, rebound. Oh, Goheen had his chance blocked. 2 or 3 opportunities in quick succession. Icing against De La Salle with 15:15 to go in the third. Both teams missing one of their top scorers. The Cougars still missing Nate Sova, who has 7 goals and 11 total points on the year. The Pilots, without the services of their senior forward, Colton Fuqua, 7 goals and 19 total points for him. The Pilots got wiped out by Byron Center last night, 4-2. Saginaw Heritage beat the Cougars 4-3 here. You know motivation is going to be high for both teams to leave it out there on the ice and try to salvage a win out of the weekend. By the way, Byron Center is up 4-0 on Heritage on the other rink right now. That game got started a little bit later than ours. I think they were a 3 o'clock start, in fact. Don't quote me on that. So it looks like the Bulldogs are going to stay unbeaten on the season. Who's going to get in the way of that train this year? I don't know. They just had the 1 loss all of last regular season before falling in the Final 4 of D2. Point shot by Helgren, sticked away by Trent Goheen, the Cougars netminder, who has been solid today, but the Cougars have been much better defensively in this game than they were last night. And Goheen pounces on top of that puck with Finn Stempen right there, looking for any kind of loose change. That Heritage attack last night gave the Cougars some fits. They were going up and down the ice. Some size, some skill on that team. Like I said, I think that Heritage team, will hear from them later this year. I'd be surprised if we don't. If they don't make some noise in the postseason. The Pilots' attack, though, mostly held under wraps by Catholic Central so far. 14 minutes to go in regulation exactly. Capping got a stick in the way. I think part of that is just shaking the rust off from last night. Catholic Central went nearly 2 weeks between games due to the snow cancellation last weekend. Well, now they're going to play 5 total games in the final 2 weeks of January. Actually, less than 2 weeks, in fact. It's going to be about 5 games in 12 days when it's all said and done. Kappinga deflects this ahead. He's going up against a couple of purple-shirted pilots over there by the scorer's area. Pertot connects on the near wing side to a Dragna, who flipped that puck behind the Cougars' net. Goheen played it away. Zaccagni circling, looking backside. He's got his man pinching in Lawrence. Josh Lawrence, he surveys from a similar spot. On the handoff, Zaccagni trying to get the shot away. No, it's a pass. Now Lawrence centering in front for Zaccagni, and it's swatted away from him. Goheen tries to send Outwater up ahead on the breakaway pass, but it's too far for him to reach. Icing against Catholic Central, 12:45 left in the third period. It's a healthier crowd in terms of size this afternoon for Catholic Central than it was last night. Not sure if there were other athletic events going on. There probably were some other things happening. It is a Friday in the middle of the academic year. A blasted shot by Keegan James. He just missed the target from between the circles. Not going to be too many chances that good, you wouldn't think, for the Pilots to tie this one up. So Catholic Central dodges one there. Goheen handing off to Bates. He hooks up with Karsten Carlander, first-year Cougar. But he's stripped from behind. Good stick lift from A.J. Zaccagni. Leighton Nayert swerving into the attacking zone. He's defended toward the side wall by Ten Harmsel. Liam Ten Harmsel off a partition and wildly in front. Goheen was sharp to glove it and to keep it with no rebound. Goheen came into the weekend with the second best save percentage in the state at .944. It's now .936. We'll see where that one stands, just for my own curiosity. Well, he's dropped all the way down to number 5, he said facetiously. Lead pass, Goheen got a stick on it, so no icing here. That is Luke Goheen, the sophomore forward. Trent is the senior goalie, in case you're wondering. Outwater, down the wall, couldn't get to it. Berta made a pass to the goal line, but it was intercepted. Helgren handing off. Blackwood ran into a Cougar there. That was Kwiatkowski. The puck pops free. Off to Zach Westrick. Gaining the line, but he's got 3 Pilots to beat. Couldn't do it. Chipped up and out by Zaccagni, who's pursuing against Kwiatkowski. One touch over to Berta. Up ahead and Luke Goheen. Oh, he didn't get a piece. That's an icing call. De La Salle comes in with a record of 10-3-2. This is their 16th game as well. Most teams play around 24, 25 games before the postseason begins. Everyone guaranteed a spot in the regional tournament. And from there, we start to eliminate people. That's about a month away, though. Liam Ten Harmsel in some trouble. Boxed in. Lost it to Keegan James. Got Zaccagni, and his shot was deflected by Mulvey. A saving touch for Ryder Mulvey to tip that wide. Zaccagni, big frame, makes another play off to Keegan James, who's got some zip in those legs. Took the shot, it was blocked down. That one hurt Ten Harmsel, who's staggered a bit by that shot, but Catholic Central gets the clear. Mulvey hands off to Braden Bates. Poked off his stick, but right to Kappinga. Delaying and feeding in front of the De La Salle bench. Intercepted by Zaccagni. He feeds it on the move to Nayert toward goal. Now Lawrence, we want to go back to Nayert, wearing number 88 in purple and gold, those distinctive De La Salle uniforms. Almost like the LA Lakers on ice, or the old LA Kings, of course. Those were beautiful uniforms back in the day. Zaccagni thinking about a wraparound. He's fended off by Bates. Pulling up, still controlling and shooting off the skate of James. Bouncing around. James has it for De La Salle. Shoots on goal, bounces around and in. That was a strange one. I think Zaccagni's going to get credit for it. With 9:49 remaining in the third, it's tied 2-2. Well, that was strange. James slipped the pass in front. It bounced off of Goheen, over his shoulder, in fact. And the way Zacagney celebrated, I think he got the final touch. And if he did, that is Zacagney's 10th of the season, just one behind Blackwood for the team lead. And so De La Salle, which trailed 2-0 after one, has pulled even about midway through the third. I actually never saw the puck literally go over the goal line, just taking the referee's word for it. It took a little while, but it did end up there. So now it's a new hockey game, and Joe Emmons, as Coach LaRose for De La Salle, sends this fresh trio out against the Cougars unit of Carlander and Dozema. And Moss, snapshot from the angle by Emmons, missed the goal. Emmons, one of two freshmen on this Pilots team. To the line, Pertot couldn't get his shot through. Tries again, he'll just bunt it to the near corner. Beals is crushed by Kwiatkowski. The puck comes loose to Preston Berta. Gave it up at center ice, though, to Rowe. That's Bryson Rowe. The junior shoots in, and the junior Kwiatkowski for Catholic Central clears. Down in front of the De La Salle bench, Logan Robbins slows it down. Westrick ran into the goaltender, Zalkowski. The play moves up ice down to our right, and right back in the possession of the Cougars. Liam Ten Harmsel. Can he make something happen here? Ten Harmsel trying to run the gauntlet and go through everybody, but he lost control of the puck. Luke Goheen follows on, though. Number 22 makes the feed out to Outwater covering the point. Ten Harmsel shoots, glove save by Zalkowski, and nothing further. 8:22 left in the third period. Ten Harmsel, just the sophomore. I think he's going to put up some serious numbers in Catholic Central blue and white when it's all said and done. He's already finding himself here. Well, he's been there, honestly, since maybe game number 3 or 4 way back in November. I recall that game against Rockford on the road where he started to lug the puck up ice with regularity, and he's continued to do so. Goheen shooting, bouncing in the crease and chipped, and a whistle sounding. That's a high stick on the puck. That close to the Cougars getting the go-ahead goal. Instead, the faceoff comes out at center ice, actually all the way back down into Cougars territory. Touched by a high stick is the ruling. Westrick gets the face-off assignment against Zacagney. Zach Westrick has extended his point streak to 7 games, 2 assists today. Goheen takes the deflected pass out through center, whipped that shot on net, blocker saved by Zalkowski. Outwater, he had Westrick in front, just couldn't slip the pass through. It hit a Pilot skate. Nayert escaping, couldn't feed it to James, who was always trying to stretch the D. Westrick now, 1-on-5 basically. Catholic Central gets some fresh bodies on the ice behind the play. Penalty coming up. I think Westrick drew it, and I think it's going to be interference. It is. Catholic Central goes to the power play with 7:44 left in the third, our first penalty of the third period. Lawrence to the box for the second time today. Well, the Cougars have scored 2 power play goals today. They had 2 last night. This is their 5th opportunity. They're 4 for 8 on the weekend. All set. Chance number 9 in this mini homestand. Kwiatkowski wedged it free over to Pollock. Pollock takes a look. Slows it down to his pace, threw it on goal right into the feet of Zalkowski, made the initial save. Did the De La Salle netminder. Now it's at the side of his net. They continue to chop away for it. And Bates couldn't keep it in. He tried to kick it to his stick, didn't work. It was cleared by Hoberg, who takes a seat on the De La Salle bench. 40 seconds into the penalty against Josh Lawrence, junior D-man for the Pilots. Capping up for the Cougars. On the zone entry, wanted to Feet on the backhand over to Pollock, but instead it was taken away by James, and he skies the saucer clear 200 feet down the rink. 1 minute to go on the power play. Henry Kwiatkowski takes over behind his net. Kwiatkowski hands off. Sweeping with it, Westrick. Up ahead to Luke Goheen and over the line. Dropped it off, no one home. Zakagny 1-on-2 shorthanded. Not getting any help with Zakagny. He's got to do it on his own rather. And Outwater cleans him out with a strong check. We go back the other way. 4-on-3. Westrick. 30 seconds to go on the power play. Zach Westrick wanted to find Goheen in the middle. Instead, it deflects it on the goaltender, Zalkowski, and he holds on. 24 seconds remaining on the power play. 6:08 to go in the third period. The urgency picks up for both sides. Last year, the score was 7-4 for Catholic Central in this matchup. A little more tighter checking this year, which is the comfort zone for Catholic Central this year, to be honest. Their games this year have averaged less than 5 goals combined. Wrister by Goheen nearly all the way through into the net, but it was just blocked at the last second. Someone in front of Zalkowski got a piece of it. Headman pass fended off by the Pilots. Westrick tries to cut back against the grate, nearly lost it. Oh, and then he tripped up Finn Stempen, who was reaching out for the puck, and it'll be a power play back the other way just as we get back to 5-on-5. Tough break for Westrick and the Cougars as he was just trying to keep that puck alive. Good hustle to get to it, but then he had to actually get on his horse to trip Stempen and prevent him from going in on a breakaway, or at least a prime scoring chance. So Westrick commits his second penalty, and the Pilots get their 5th power play opportunity of the day. 5:41 to go. Quick clear by Berta after Ryder Mulvey won the faceoff. 5.5 left in the third. De La Salle gets a kick at the can now on the power play. They're 0 for 4. 2 even strength goals for De La Salle today as Cagney fired it over the crossbar on the cut-in move. He just tied the game a minute ago, deflected toward Goheen, loose puck, they score. I think Hoberg ended up chopping it in. It was bouncing around. Goheen couldn't settle it. It was like a jumping bean for a second there, and then it somehow ended up in the back of the net. Berta is saying, hey, the net is dislodged, but I'm not sure that argument is falling on receptive ears. It is Hoberg first through the handshake line. De La Salle on their 5th power play opportunity somehow find a way to nudge that puck over the goal line. It's 3-2. The Pilots have their first lead of the day. Hoberg scores his 2nd of the year. 3 unanswered goals by the Pilots on the road. Now with just 5:10 to go in the third period. And Zakagny was hit in front of his bench. He calls for reinforcements as he'll head off slowly. Westrick lost control at center, but here comes Ten Harmsel following on. He couldn't make anything happen. Robbins picked his pocket. Robbins pumped it ahead looking for Nayard. Delayed offside. The Pilots tag up. Blackwood trying to go between 3 Cougars all the way to the goal. Couldn't make it happen. Pollock pulling up, shooting, deflected by Robbins off the rink over the high glass. So Zakagny first, off an assist from James. And then a few minutes later, with 5:10 left in the period, Hoberg scoring. Collecting a loose puck at the top of the crease and somehow sliding it under Goheen. I'm still not sure quite how he did it. I'll have to look at that replay. That was a weird one. Actually, both were weird ones for the Pilots. But as they say in another sport that I happen to enjoy, they don't ask how, they ask how many. And right now, how many is 3 for De La Salle and 2 for Catholic Central. Capping it toward the net. Off the blocker of Zalkowski. It was a great start for Catholic Central, and now they've got to come back late. Icing against the Pilots, that helps. Both teams still have their timeouts at their disposal, should they choose to use them. This is usually when coaches will fire away with that. But not yet. Mulvey against Blackwood at the right face-off dot. Poked away from Potter. Mulvey trying to creep in and take that. Instead, Berta jams a slap shot that ends up in the far corner. Kappinga on it there from the half wall. High flip, glove down. Kappinga's got it again. Try to make a move, but Sarah poked it out to the point. Berta's shooting, and I don't know if that got all the way through. Preston Berta opened the scoring for the Cougars. Just 5 minutes into this game with a power play goal. Now Berta wheels it wide of the goal, just inside the red line. No icing against Catholic Central, but this will be icing against De La Salle. Bryson Rowe couldn't deflect the clearing pass by Joe Serra. Catholic Central has not lost 3 in a row since right around the new year, 2021 into 2022. That was 3 losses consecutively to Granville, Mona Shores, and Byron Center. So more than 2 years. Right after that, De La Salle got a 3-1 win here. So this is 3 straight years that these two teams have met at Southside. Each team has won 1. It'll be Outwater. Firing across, looking for Goheen. It was out of his reach. 3:11 left in the third period. 10 Harmsel over to Westrick. Pass was in the skates of Luke Goheen, but he still deflected it into the corner. A Dragna against the grain to the far corner. Robbins on it for De La Salle. He hacked at it. 3 Cougars in there trying to make it happen, but they couldn't do it. Zaccagni leads the rush back for the Pilots. Zaccagni in his off-wing side. Shot was blocked by Bates. Following up Nayert to Zaccagni. Wanted to go back to Nayert. Westrick got in the way of that with staunch work defensively. And out it goes to center ice. 2.5 to play in the third. Zaccagni helps it along with one hand on the stick. Braden Bates went all the way around the horn to the far side. Cooper Moss trying to force it forward. Again, couldn't quite get it to the blue line. Hoberg, who has the go-ahead goal right now, dumps it in for De La Salle. Bryson Rowe back in deep with that, trying to connect on to Blackwood. Kwiatkowski ended up handing it over to Hoberg, and now back behind the net. Henry Kwiatkowski. Weird bounce off the partition, right in front, and Blackwood just missed. Rebound, Goheen made a fantastic save, lunging out of his crease with 1:44 left to keep the Cougars viable in this one. Banged out of the zone. Catholic Central having a hard time getting a grab on that puck, getting it to settle down. Berta does, but his backhand headed off at the pass right in front of the De La Salle bench by Lawrence. Blackwood dispossessed by Luke Goheen. 1:20 left in the third. Goheen tumbles down. Play allowed to continue on. And Trent Goheen to the bench as Berta takes the shot. The Cougars get the extra attacker on. It's Ryder Mulvey, but there's an empty net down to our right. Zaccagni pushing it ahead. He's tripped up as the puck goes toward the empty goal, and no penalty call. A stick ended up loose on the ice. He fell over that one. The Cougars get it out to center, but then Nayert shoots it right back in. 55 seconds left. Kwiatkowski couldn't get much further than the red line. It's cleared down past Berta, wide of the goal by a Dragna. Icing against De La Salle. 44 seconds remaining. And I have to imagine a timeout's coming. Coach Mike Slobodnik has his marker board out, and the timeout is taken by Catholic Central. If you're joining us late, the Cougars took a 2-0 lead after one period. Preston Berta scoring off assists from Luke Goheen and Zach Westrick. 5.25 minutes into the first period. That was on the power play. Then in the final minute of the first period, Henry Kwiatkowski pounced on a rebound at the side of the net. Ryder Mulvey got the shot there. Zach Westrick picked up another assist. It was 2-zip, but De La Salle scored its first goal early in the second period on a wacky deflection by Logan Robbins. Actually, his shot was deflected off of a Cougar, I think, and it hopped high into the net. It was a point drive. Really rather unassuming, but 18 seconds into the second, the Pilots cut the lead in half. Then, in the third period, about 5 minutes in, A.J. Zakagny dived into the crease to tap Keegan James's rebound behind Trent Goheen. James had just fired it toward the net. It was actually a pass. It was about 4 feet off the ice. It hit Goheen, hopped over his shoulder in behind him, and Zakagny followed on to tie the score. And with 5:10 to go in the third period, another strange one. Hoberg hopping on a bouncing puck at the top of the crease during De La Salle's fifth power play of the afternoon, and Hoberg scoring his second goal of the year to put the Pilots ahead. And now just 44 seconds to go. It's a 6-on-5 advantage for Catholic Central. The extra attacker is on. Trent Goheen is on the bench. And here we go. Face-off won by the Cougars. Ten Harmsel out by the line. Shot it through traffic and deflected to the end boards by, I think, Braylon Outwater. Ten Harmsel tried to slap it on net. Couldn't get there, but now he makes the play off to Westrick. His pass was tipped all the way out through to center ice. Isaac Capping has got to hustle back to retrieve it. Instead, now it's Nayert trying to tie things up for De La Salle. Just 20 seconds to go in the third period. 3 Pilots are in the mix. 3 Cougars are in the mix there. They still can't get it free. Just 15 seconds to go in regulation time. Poked forward by Zakagny toward the empty goal. It's wide. Catholic Central needs something crazy to happen now. 6 seconds to go. Ten Harmsel's feet up ahead. And did Westrick get a piece of it? He did not. Icing was called with 2.4 seconds left, and that's probably going to do it. De La Salle is going to hit cruising altitude here as Trent Goheen has to return to his net. Well, I guess he doesn't have to, but he's going to prevent a cheap late one by the Pilots. Zakagny against Zach Westrick at the dot. One last face-off. Zakagny powers it off the glass. It hops to a rest behind the net, and Trent Goheen slams his stick against the post in frustration. The Pilots of De La Salle scored 3 consecutive goals to turn a 2-0 deficit into a 3-2 victory, and the visitors move to 11-3-2 on the season. They avoid getting swept on the weekend here on their trip into Southside as they fell to Byron Center last night. That's a character-type win for De La Salle. The number 3 ranked team in Division II pulls one out here, stealing it on home ice, or on the Cougars' home ice, away from Catholic Central, who has now lost 3 in a row for the first time in more than 2 seasons, dating back, looks like about 50 games, in fact, since the last 3-game losing streak for Catholic Central, which is now 11-5 on the season. Goal scorers in this game, Berta and Kwiatkowski for Catholic Central. Zach Westrick had a pair of assists as well. For De La Salle, Logan Robbins in the second period, and then A.J. Zakagny and Hunter Hoberg in the third period. Hoberg is on the power play, ultimately the decider, as the Pilots pull out the win. Our next broadcast on Cougar Puck Radio will be on Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock from Griff's West. We're on the road to face off against West Ottawa for the second time this season. Catholic Central beat the Panthers 4-1 in the second game of the year way back in mid-November. They'll get a second look at West Ottawa, this time as the visiting team. Hope to have you along on CPR. Again, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock as the scheduled face-off from Griff's West in Holland. Until next time, this is Matt Gajtka saying good afternoon, God bless, have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you next time for more Catholic Central boys hockey.